What am I doing? I am so scattered in the old cranium right now. I am so very scattered. It's hard to know where to begin, really. Like you see on screen, I've drawn up like a mind map of everything. You know, communication's important, and I feel like I'm going to feel a lot better if I'm able to just kind of communicate what's going on in like a single place that I can then send out to people who have been trying to get into contact with me. Because I haven't been on Discord for like 6 months. I go to Twitter to see if anyone's let me any DMs there, and see if and occasionally tweet something. But because that's just the lowest stress kind of engagement I can foster at the moment. You know, I'm not opposed to talking about my personal life on these streams, of course. I'm not opposed to talking about it in general. I'm not a super private person, like, by nature. I just know that there's a certain level of parasociality that I need to avoid engendering, because I have a duty of care as a content creator. As last week revealed, because I meant to stream this last week, but it was kind of postponed when I had I'm not going to sugarcoat it, an extreme and severe mental breakdown, or nervous breakdown. It seems those terms are used pretty interchangeably, but you know, I was crying I was crying, and when I wasn't crying, I was screaming, and when I wasn't screaming, I was punching things. And I'm not a violent person by nature, but it just got to the point where we had just reached such a point of overstimulation and just overwhelm that it was actually just manifesting as huge wads of pain in my nervous system. And the only way to get it out was to scream or to punch something. And so I've got some bruised knuckles from the experience. And I think the inside of my car needs to take out a protective order against me. But, you know, I'm safe for the moment. I shouldn't say for the moment, because I'm not in like immediate danger or anything. It's just, we're at a point where I'm struggling. I really am. Trying to, even opening a message and having to think about what to say and all of that, that became even too much. And I'm just trying to explain what's happening and how it all is going down. And I'll try to do it without crying, because I've been doing a lot of that lately. And look, as much as I love the memes, you know, the last thing I need is that becoming a viral clip. Because I'm suffering from multiple different issues that are kind of all touching each other and molesting each other and, you know, getting up in each other's balls. You know, when one problem started to go away, I finally had enough capacity again to feel the panic attack that came from the fact of like, oh fuck, I've been radio silent for like half a year. What? Oh no. And then, you know, that kind of just creates a whole new sort of problem. My support worker, who has been with me for over a year when this started going down, said that this was the worst she'd ever seen me. It had gotten so bad that even when I was out of bed, my very ability to speak the English language was totally compromised. So, taking a poll chat, does this chart look utterly overwhelming to look at, even from a distance? I just want to like get a feel. I want to take the temperature in the room. And oh my lord, there's 53 people watching this. That is quite high for me recently. Try not to get too self-conscious, but like, Jesus. Not that I mind. I chose this time slot because I knew more people would be online, but yeah, it's just seeing that number right there. It's okay, take your time. What is the core of the issue been? Well, we already have the autism and ADHD, which we've talked about a little bit on past streams, and I've kind of written up symptoms. The way this is designed is that, you know, we have all these connections here. The blue connections mean that something makes something better. Like one of these makes something better. And the red one means it makes it worse. And gray ones are just kind of means that it's just kind of an extension. It's an extension of the label. What this feels like to look like for you is what it feels like to live for me right now. So I just wanted to kind of get that visualized. It took me a while to put this together because I'm in a fight against the the anxiety spaghetti. That is, there's probably even better ways to kind of break this down. But I just kind of went with a system that I thought would be at least somewhat intuitive. Blue and green essentially are the same color on this chart. I just chose green for these because I thought it would look better as a contrast, or like a complement rather to the green. So that's why that did the thing there. My senses are kind of dialed up to 11 most of the time. So I just have I have a heightened sense of, so lights can often look too bright, sounds are often too loud. I get really gross feeling when I touch things like certain kinds of wools and things like that, and it's different textures in my mouth hole and stuff, except for pussy, of course. So there's also other things, like I have impaired interoception, which pairs so super well with the suppressed appetite up in the other place, because the compromised, because interoception is basically like, it is your ability to know, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Do you need to do a pee-pee? Do you need to take a shit? Are you horny? It is all of these internal sort of processes, and mine is ultra impaired. I don't always know when I'm thirsty. I don't always know when I'm hungry. When it gets really extreme, I definitely know. But it does lead to, food sensitivity. So it can be like, so my sense of taste is like really hyper exaggerated, and certain textures just feel wrong in my mouth, and that can lead to what's called avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, which a lot of this stuff kind of culminates in what's called water aversion and food aversion, which is to say, like, when I think like, I should eat something, there's just a little part of me of like, do I really want to eat though? I'm breathing okay. I was about to say I'm breathing okay, and I just realized, no, I'm breathing functionally. There's another problem there. So how does migraine manifest in good old Meme's body? Let's find out. Let's look at possibly the most aesthetic part of the chart, I think. But it manifests in a few different ways. Jesus Christ. To be fair, explaining migraine isn't easy. Oh, swole, don't I know it? Don't I know it? Don't I know it? Even explaining it to a doctor is not easy. A few weeks ago, the vertigo side of it got so bad, I was floor-ridden, which means I lied down in bed and I was still dizzy, so I had to drop down to the floor. And then when I had solid ground under me, I was just like, I'm here for the rest of the day now. Yes. And it can also manifest as like diarrhea. Some people vomit. I haven't vomited yet, but I've had diarrhea from it, I think. It can sometimes be hard to tell where diarrhea comes from, that's kind of more of an assumption, really. But you know what else impairs your ability to see? Dry eye. And I only realized I had dry eye very recently. And it was kind of a revelation in its way, because my vision will just sometimes just go blurry, and I didn't know why. And it can be kind of like visual aura stuff, but it can also be just that your eyes are not lubricated enough. So I blink like all the time now, and I probably need to get put on some drugs to deal with this side of it. So that's just one of the things in play. So that's astigmatism for you. So up the top is without astigmatism. Down the bottom is with. It's because the lens of the eye is misshapen, causing light to not go into it quite how it should. Let's see, I have astigmatism apparently very bad. I feel like I've just gotten everyone. I've gotten everyone in chat all existential about their eyes. This is a good day. This is a very good day. This is the first day. No, wait, I did cry earlier. Never mind. I thought it was the first day I'd not cried since Wednesday. Here's the thing. I've had complex vision problems for a little over, since at least teenagehood. And I once went to a LASIK clinic to see if I was eligible, because I was just like, I'm sick and tired of dealing with this. And then they test my vision. And then they're like, your eyes are actually about where we want them after surgery. And it's like, okay, maybe I'm just a hypochondriac. I don't know. But then I, of course, continue to have problems that are affecting me, even if as I try to ignore them, thinking, telling yourself you're a hypochondriac is not always like the way to, like, is not always a way to not be a hypochondriac, because maybe something is actually wrong. And then I'm gonna dump my entire asshole out, and then we're gonna look at it. Not really, I don't have to shit yet. Probably. I've got impaired interoception though, so maybe I do need to shit. So that's something. No, don't follow the connection. Edit the label. Do I have loneliness on here? Oh, I guess I don't. Unless I do. Grief. Well, if I double up on loneliness, loneliness. This dick was made for coming, and that's just what it'll do. A dick, 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 dicky, dick. Oh, a dick, 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 dick. Oh, dicky, 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 dick, 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 dick. Dicky, 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 dick, dick, a dick, 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 dick. I'm addicted to dick. The really bad thing that happened that sent me spiraling into the nervous breakdown was actually something like past relationship related. I'm not, again, we're not going into like the exact thing because it's not really relevant. But what we kind of learned with that is that I've got a brain that probably is just wired to love other people and to care for other people and to nurture and protect other people, and that I do a lot better when I'm in a relationship versus not. It's becoming clear that being single for as long as I have has had a very, very negative effect on my mental health. So we're kind of we're looking now to get a golden retriever. I have 3 cats. I don't have room for other animals. Oh, Meme is a giver. I am a giver. I'm very much a giver. I need to love people. I need to love. You know, I was quite traumatized by that last breakup because it was it very much represented a lot of personal failure for me. Not that, you know, I think I've since I've chatted with my ex since all that went down, and she's taken a lot of responsibility for, we've both taken responsibility for everything that went down. So it's water under the bridge at this point, but you know, there's still that lingering like wanting to connect. And for her, she's not in quite a place where she can reconnect with me, unfortunately. So I'm kind of left without a relationship at the moment. And again, I thought, okay, I'm going to grit and bear through it. I'm going to get this EFAP project done. But it does seem like the longer I've gone along, it's been a huge thing wearing down at me. But it's not the only thing. It's just kind of something that's come up. And maybe I'll talk about it a bit more in a bit. But yeah, it's its own thing. We're all going through our own journeys. So of course another family member died, right, you know, a couple of months later, right after, I don't have it here because I felt a bit silly putting it here, but right after Kevin Conroy died, which was in itself kind of traumatic because that's like, look, I don't know if you know this or not, but Kevin Conroy was kind of a really great guy, and he's also like, that's like, you know, for an autismo who grew up with Batman, that's a loss. That's just a loss. It might feel silly to cry over someone who voiced a cartoon character, but it is a loss. I was really devastated. So I was going through that. I was trying to put that stream together, and then this happens, and suddenly more travel arrangements, more disruptions, more X, Y, and Z. And not only that, I'm getting to have crippling fucking. I get to tangle with with mortality, and then of course. I try to go on vacation, have a good time, and then I get COVID, and that results in my first trip to the emergency room, one of many after that, in fact. Either taking family members to the emergency room, or I'm ending up there myself for various reasons, like the seizure-like event, and I had some chest pain back in December, and I also ended up there for something else we're gonna get into, and look, guys, it's not a good thing when you're in the waiting room to the emergency room and you're like, feels like home. Yeah, and this is, you know, slowly eating into like this existential crisis where I'm being confronted with my own mortality. I'm being confronted with the mortality of others. I'm deeply lonely. I'm telling myself I'm going to die alone. And it's getting really rough in the personal life space. But then, of course, we go over to world events, and so now we're in a cost of living crisis. So we got financial stress going on. That's nice. We got the Australian election year this year. And look, not to put I don't want to get too political, but I was when I was talking to my therapist, and she was like, "Why are you so? You seem this is like more than just like what the thing that happened was not my reaction was not indicative of the thing that happened. It was indicative of everything else that I'd been subconsciously thinking about. And as a disabled man who is very much reliant on like government systems working and all that, all I could think was, in my really manic state, I was like, am I going to be, if one side gets in over the other, am I going to be fucking alive in 2 years' time? Because I'm really falling behind because of all of this shit over here, you know? And, you know, US election year, not going to go into that, but, you know, it's a stressful time for everyone in the world, not just America. And because everything that happens in America kind of just, it affects everyone else. It's, you know, kind of part of this was also just like there was some shakeups with NDIS, which is a National Disability Insurance Scheme. So that's where I get money to be able to afford like, you know, cleaners and support workers and assistive technology, things like that to help with my disabilities. And there was a bit of a shakeup this year that there was a lot of misinformation going around about it. And I didn't know which way was up, and it was causing me all sorts of like pain and things like that. And I suffer from what are called intrusive obsessive thoughts. And in fact, something we were talking about in therapy last week was that I have an obsessive brain, which is pretty normal for autism. But it is, and also ADHD because of hyperfixation. You know, I've been pretty severely mistreated like a lot of my life. I was very lucky in high school, and year 11 and 12 and all of that, because we got to a point where everyone kind of understood my deal. I was kind of just treated as part of the team, and I think I really benefited from that. But then as soon as you go into the adult world, it's kind of like going back to primary school where, yeah, people are just, they're not too understanding. So you kind of got to really cloak, you know, those autismo traits of yours sometimes, and it can get quite draining after a while. Not that we should have to, but like sometimes it's a survival thing. It leads to like a pathological need to over-explain. I wonder if there's an example of over-explaining an issue somewhere here. You go into black and white thinking as well, which is kind of an autistic trait already. Where it's like autistic people are like, they're very justice oriented. So there's a huge justice sensitivity. Justice sensitivity is actually listed as a symptom of autism, where there's just a very strong reaction to perceived injustice, which, you know, I guess that makes autists the superheroes of the real world in a way. But it also, I mean, you can't tell me Batman was neurotypical. I'm sorry. Not with that obsessive, compulsive, whatever the hell he's got going on. And so it's important to keep these intrusive thoughts not under lock and key. You shouldn't repress them, but you do need to figure out how to work through them. And, you know, and that involves, you know, keeping stress levels manageable. And I think more than anything, just having enough wins in your life, you know, to keep things going. Maybe I should add that. Lack of major wins lately. So skipping meals is one. Dehydration is another. And of course, we've got bright lights, intense smells, loud noises, sleep deprivation, sinus issues, changes in routine, lack of exercise, and exercise. This is where it gets complicated, because like exercise can trigger it, but also a lack of exercise can trigger it. So you've got to like hit that middle ground where you're like not overtraining, you're not overexerting. Otherwise, you might trigger it either way. But at least with the exercise, you'll wear down like one of the really bad causes, which is stress. This is not even complete. I'm pretty sure. This is just what I listed. We also got some negative modifiers here. So these are more just like, I'm not gonna say they're minor things. It's just kind of, well, they're not minor in the sense that they do affect, but it's more like this is the miscellaneous category of things that sometimes are there and sometimes aren't. So like, my apartment is kind of killing me. Not in a literal sense, but more in just like this place was designed clearly for people with wheelchairs, but not for anyone with any other kind of disability. So everything is kind of really low down. Like there's a lot of corners that have been cut because fuck disabled people, I guess. And it's retardedly, like it's got good bones, but it's retarded. If you go further this way, someone is at my door. That might be my medications. 1 second. I was correct.
I was right. All of you people said it's not the chemist. It can't be the chemist. Meme, you don't. Chemists aren't real. Chemists can't hurt you.
Tiny bathroom sink, which is miserable to use. And then it goes down, and you turn into a subconscious avoidance behavior because every time I think I got to brush my teeth, I'm thinking, oh, do I really want to use that fucking sink though? Do I really want to fucking use that fucking sink? And a lot of the time, my avoidance wins because it is just such a sensory nightmare. Because, it's, and like the amount of ledge space that you have to actually put things down, it's nightmarish. You don't have much room to leave things out. And remember with ADHD, if it's not out in the environment, it might as well not exist. So I need to keep everything out so I can just quickly go and use it and all that. But then I have this problem where like if I accidentally knock something over, it just it goes on the ground, and if it's like a delicate like electronic item, it's its own nightmare. And so I've had increasing, mounting like dental sensitivity, which is being made worse by bruxism caused by stress caused by the fact that I can't brush my teeth properly, which is causing sensitivities, and then the fucking and so what happens with that? That turns into fucking more food avoidance, which is back up here. So the sinus problems, so what does it cause? It causes like fullness and blockages and like irritation and dryness and recurring. Like there is not, ever since I was a child, there's not been a single day where I have not had to wake up and do my daily extraction routine of the gunk and the festering ooze that comes out of my nose, just constant infections. And then of course when I go to the doctor, it's just like, no, it's fine. It's just like, no, it's not. Look closer. So I'm seeing an ENT in April about it. I am almost out of space. I've been using so much cloud storage, and it's bankrupting me because I need to like actually just get like a full-on NAS drive and like just get a bunch of additional storage, because that's been trying to, you think of when you're video editing, you're bouncing between so many different files. Some of them are big, some of them are small, but it all kind of adds up over time. It takes up space on your hard drive. And, that's fine if you're only editing like one or two things. But with these EFAP projects, especially, like you want to get references from all sorts of different places. And sometimes you can't find the clip on YouTube or something. So you've got to source the full movie. Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. Some people say like, well, just take a break. And it's just like, I've taken a lot of breaks, friend. I've taken so many breaks. But the thing about it, here's the thing. Psychologically, when you're thinking about work, your brain is still going, you're working. Even if you're doing nothing at all. And it's really hard to, and the thing with ADHD is the only way I can rest is if I forget about the project. But then the problem is I've forgotten about the project, which means, I might procrastinate for a few weeks and then I'll go, fuck, I haven't worked on that in a while. And then it's a whole other thing of stress. It's kind of just, I think it is like a maladaptive behavior I got from like drama school or whatever, where like where I had to like deny myself all earthly pleasures to like get things done. Only this one, it's way more complicated because there are way more barriers to knock down. So a lot of this, it leads to gaps in communication, which, it leads to like radio silence and things like that. It leads to the struggle to relax or to reset. Like you just can't, like, I don't remember the last time I've just sat down and just enjoyed being alive and just enjoyed myself fully. Like, I've enjoyed myself. Like, I've had fun, but there's always that niggling voice in the back of my head of like, you should be doing. Things you start thinking everyone is like talking about you or what have you. And you see this all the time with streamers, by the way, how, their self-reinforced perception of other people or their audience or other people's audiences, it causes them to, have these huge meltdowns on stream. Thankfully, I have a little bit more self-awareness than that, so I've just kind of been trying to take stock of everything so that I'm not just like redirecting blame to people who don't deserve it. But it just becomes this fucking, you get trapped in your own brain. You do get trapped in your own brain. And of course, nervous breakdown, which hadn't happened when I wrote this up, but I could feel I was on the brink. And then last week it went over the surface, went over the line. The kinds of fruit I like are not always in season. I've been trying to find been trying to find alternatives to sun gold kiwis and gold nugget mandarins. They don't exist. I do have bananas almost every day, but they're not the same. They're not the same. And of course, good night's sleep. You can't complain about that. Oh, I think there's something else that I think. There we go. There we go. This one really helps. I need to get more of it. There we go. There we go. Support from the fans, of course. I know that when I've spoken about this on Twitter, and I try not to milk it too much because I know how that can appear. I try to only give updates when really relevant, but it does really help to have support from the fans, even if it's just like, you got this meme. Because that helps to break those negative thought cycles. It helps to remind you that, like, yeah, people are in your court. I've had a support worker for a little over a year and a half now. I've rotated through about 3 so far, and they really help because well, as well as the cleaners that also come in, because again, I struggle to keep up. Like, I can do the housework. It's just I just struggle to keep up with it. This is a little less chaotic than the other one. Thank God. Like, this is a little bit nicer to look at, which is good. I wish I could have made it even nicer, like not had the crossover things there, but what you gonna do? Sometimes you just gotta go with it. Meme, I love you, but shut the fuck up. Stop with all the overcomplicated theoreticals and lose the autistic flowchart. Just make a simple to-do checklist. Well, the point of the flowchart is kind of just to demonstrate how everything connects to everything else. If I tried to do it, I did try to do a checklist, but it wasn't quite communicating the relationships to everything else. I can do a checklist as an additional to this, but I found that the only way I could communicate this properly was to get the flowchart thing going. Are you doing this for you or for us, though? I get the point. I'm just saying that, yeah, okay, I'm not going to engage with that. Anyway, the reason this is a big priority, and, I think my therapist agrees with this, is that, I've been through a lot. I feel like maybe I could have handled, but when you're doing it alone, when you're doing it without, like, that support, when you have to go to bed at night and face the void, you do just kind of, it does affect you a lot more than it otherwise would. I think I just need to find love again. Because I'm made, I'm a sappy sort, but, I'm designed to love other people. It's just how I am. I am designed to, I like to write love poetry and love stories, and, I love to, make someone, I love to, go to a lot of effort to brighten someone's day, and, waking up next to someone is always the best feeling in the world. And then having sex is almost as good. Yeah. It's, I'm confident in my ability to find people interested. My challenge is going to be finding someone of my type, I think, because I'm very particular. But, I'll own my strengths. I'm a conventionally good-looking, emotionally intelligent guy. I'm never going to be the breadwinner. That's never going to happen. But, I have a lot of other things that I bring to the table that I think, if I find the right person, I think it's going to be a good time at the movies. So I've been through a lot. I'm still continuing to go through a lot. I'm kind of, like, mentally, I'm in a bit of a free fall where it's like it's really difficult to just right the ship. For example, I was avoiding getting into a new relationship because I wanted to like get my own affairs in order a bit better, because I felt like that would result in it would be easier to get a partner that way, and I also just wanted to just be single a bit. Well, I wanted to just like enjoy being single for a little bit, but the more I went along, the more it was kind of like, well, I could go on vacation, but I don't want to go on vacation if I'm not going with someone. Like even if like I like to go on vacations with like with like romantic interests and enjoy things with them. I enjoy, you know, looking at sunsets and enjoying beautiful cities and getting excited and being. I think maybe what it is just I just feel like when I'm with someone really good, I can just be myself and they can just be their self, and it's just a really, you know, rewarding experience. It makes you want to be there. But when you're alone, not as much.
Oh, just don't stop doing that. Stop doing that. I want to look at. There we go. So it is okay. So you can see my obsidian. You can see my obsidian thing. Did you develop Tourette's? No, I did not develop Tourette's. I simply have tism buildup, and when you have tism buildup, it will come out of every orifice. It will come out of your nostrils. It will come out of your anus. It will come out of your urethra. It will even find a way to come out of your belly button, even though that is not in fact an orifice. Did you know that? It'll come out of your ears, even though technically that does not have an in-through part. You know what I'm saying? The only caveat with that is that I kind of dropped off the planet for literally everyone, which we will get into today. Because I mean everyone. I dropped off of the Discord. I dropped off the how do you say the Facebook messages, the Instagram messages, the Twitter messages. I refuse to call it X. I dropped off of all of them, not by choice. It was more just it's a little bit complicated. It's a little bit complicated, and I've got notes scattered all around here. A lot of stuff has happened. And there's a reason I dropped off. I dropped off the map, and I'm having trouble explaining it to myself. And because I'm having trouble explaining it to myself, I'm having trouble getting back into the groove because I don't know. I feel like if I can't explain it, it's a whole thing I'll get into, because we're going to be going into all these new physical health diagnoses, because I got like elastic rubbery skin and loose floppy joints that somehow all the doctors missed until literally this year, until my cat was literally on his deathbed. Only then did they go, oh yes, you probably do have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Really? Was the splotchy still not a clue? Like, oh my lord. Also, I found out my most recent discovery is that I might have accidentally been gassing myself, but that's another thing. And also some deficiencies that came out in a recent blood test. But and here's the thing. Here's the thing. We're going to explain this all, but when you go 30 years with a genetic physiological condition, right, that is undiagnosed, and you kind of just go along through life as if it is normal, what happens is you start to hold yourself to a standard that you should not be holding yourself to, and you do not have the ability to advocate for yourself. So you go through life, and you're going, life is really hard, but everyone else does it, so meh. And then all of a sudden, one day, you collapse, you go on the floor, and you don't know what's going on, but you just must assume that you are shit, because you're going down onto the ground. It's everywhere, and then you have to crawl your way back up, and then eventually, slowly, you come to the realization, maybe this is not normal. I haven't been going on Twitter, and you know, this was the first symptom that something was wrong, Chad, is that I would start opening up Twitter in the morning, and I would get upset, and then by getting upset, it triggered some sort of physiological reaction, and then I had to go back to bed, and it made it very difficult to do things, and I had to fucking block Twitter from all my apps so I would stop going on Twitter. But you know, it turns out that was symptomatic. I thought Twitter was the problem. Turns out Twitter was only the symptom, not the disease. You know, one of the stealth moments of pride for me is when Mauler finally watched Star Trek. He actually liked it, so it was like, yes, the one show that was very meaningful to me was actually given approval. Ha ha! And I didn't even shove it in his face. Ha ha ha! Ha ha! Yes, that is the universe rewarding me, because it has not been rewarding me very much. It has not been rewarding me very much, has it, recently? No, no, monsieur. No, it's not been rewarding me. I remember seeing the footage of Southpaw showing terriers to Mauler and Fringy, and how they were clearly going out of their way to try and be nice, despite obviously not being impressed. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you watch the Wolf Call, the reaction streams, which, by the way, I don't like that those things were made public. I just want to point that out. They're obviously out there now and very publicized, but I avoided even talking about them publicly because I didn't want to signal boost them. But now I guess we've reached the statute of limitations on that, I suppose. Because here's the thing: a large reason I haven't talked a lot about the Southpaw thing is because it's not really to protect Southpaw. It was because I didn't want to cause more trouble for Mauler and Fringy because. I don't know. I kind of like those guys. They're kind of my friends. You know what happens when EFAP doesn't like something I don't like? I'm kind of just like, well, that sucks. It's a little bit, there's a little bit of anxiety there because, that's kind of just how the autistic nervous system processes things. But also it's like, that's just for me to work through, I guess. I'll just give that a little bit of space and I'll process that. I hope Southpaw's friends that defended him for years, knowing he dated a 16-year-old, feel stupid right now. Yeah, look, I think, this is the reason I'm not going to go after any of Southpaw's, former friends, because I feel like the humiliation of having been friends with Southpaw is kind of punishment enough. They are being punished enough. They are probably beating themselves up. They're probably beating it. So Southpaw is mentally 14. That is true. That is true. He is mentally 14. Damn it, mean. Never answered DMs. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Swole. I'm actually. This is embarrassing to admit. I'm actually working through a phobia of DMs at the moment. I've got like really severe CPTSD, and one of them is that I become avoidant of messages for some reason. I'm trying to. And I'm working through it in therapy at the moment, but it's like I've basically disappeared. I've left like 98% of my friends across all platforms, like on Red, because it's been really, really tricky. By this point, meaning that by the time Southpaw wanted me in that call, these are the things that he had done. Repeatedly violated my privacy by sending spies into private servers to screenshot and publish private conversations, repeatedly sent his flying monkeys out in coordinated campaigns of harassment against me and my friends over a fucking TV show, repeatedly manipulated a lot of young and vulnerable people into doing his bidding, repeatedly voiced a desire to destroy my audience, income, and livelihood because it was profiting off people he didn't like, despite being told repeatedly I'm disabled and unable to work a traditional job, used a victim of abuse as a pawn in his war, again over a TV show, and repeatedly caused me an unbelievable amount of stress at a time where my own health was beginning to wane. Oh yeah, and then there was that one time he approached me after I'd gone through a particularly painful breakup under the pretense of providing support. So in case it doesn't come out in the wording there. So I had gone through a really bad breakup in 2022, and I was a bit of a state, and I just got a DM from him. It was like, hey, yeah, you want to talk about it? And so I would have usually said no, but I was kind of in like a very vulnerable sort of place, and I thought, oh, fuck, why not? Just fine. I think that phone call, and please note that a lot of the time when he was monologuing for so long, I went on mute because I had to cry again because I was going through a breakup, and I didn't want to. He was not making me feel very emotionally safe, so I just muted and I just whimpered in silence while he was going EFAP, terriers, EFAP. You said you had autism, right? Me, I think I have autism. Just absolute fucking. You really should have. Swall, I think you might be right. I really do. But the problem is, I also knew how insane he was at the same time. And I was like, if I just leave the call, he is going to. He might turn me into a target. And I don't want to be a target. So I'm going to have to bear the brunt of this call. I think that might have been half the reason I got into the call in the first place, where it was like, okay, I will get into the call of you under threat of tweet bombing. There was a lot of, the pain and trauma around the Southpaw situation kind of just got compartmentalized in my brain, sort of like sealing off like a typhoon of raw sewage, right? But the problem is when you poke one hole in that barrier between you and the raw sewage, eventually more holes are going to pop out, and it's going to burst through like a sewage tsunami, a sewage nami, if you will. I finish off the message by writing, I don't hate many people, but yeah, I hate him. And I don't have many regrets, but I completely regret every second I spent in the same call as him. He is the closest thing to true evil that I've met in this world. He entered the level of stupidity that doesn't matter if he's honest or not. He is gonna get people he's associated with in deep shit. This is the thing. This is why I backed away as soon as, like, because the thing is, right, the thing that needs to be said is, Southpaw didn't go into the bad books because of terriers. He was slowly ramping up to being in the bad books. Like, in the months leading up to terriers, you know what my experience of waking up in the morning was? I wake up in the morning, I go into Twitter, immediate diarrhea. And you know who's spewing the diarrhea? Southpaw. So much diarrhea, so much diarrhea. Like he was being the most obnoxious, egotistical fucking... But, you know, and I was trying to keep my cool because I was just like, look, he'll learn. He's in a phase, he's just going through a phase, and I think when I heard that EFAP didn't like terriers, I was like, oh, thank God. I can probably actually, because I actually wrote this for a reason. So let's add, forgot to up my support worker rates for 2020, 2021, 2020. 5-6 years, 1.25 hours. That's not too bad, right? I did label this part 1 for a reason because I actually do have to go to therapy at some point this afternoon, and I probably should have a shower before that. Thinking about it, I don't want to be all stanky when I got to therapy. That wouldn't be nice. I mean, maybe that's kind of the place that it's kind of okay to be stanky because they understand, but it's like I don't want to feel gross. I don't want to feel gross. How do I explain it all? Because it's really difficult to do succinctly, and I don't want to like jump back into DMs and fucking have. Because last time I disappeared, I sent Mauler like a novel explaining what had happened, and that was before I had all the answers. And I'm like, I don't want to send Mauler a novel again. I want to just have something that's ready to go. But because one of the things about the CPTSD is I'm a bit of an over-explainer, because my core wound as a child, somewhere over in this area, was being misunderstood. And so that kind of conditioned me to explain things more and more and more and more and more. And then eventually you kind of realize that you get into over-explaining territory. But then if you don't explain enough, yeah, you see what it means. You'll see what it... Well, you see what I'm getting at. So I want to just kind of put all the facts in one place. But but I got pretty fixated on that Southpaw drama, and every time I put it into Google, every time I put it into like, I would search like on Twitter to see if someone had mentioned him, or I would search on YouTube to see if someone had made a new video on it. And what kept coming up was boxing, and I was like, wow, get Mauler and Fringy to voice their parts. You have to voice Southpaw. Oh God! Look, if I thought there was even a snowball's chance in hell that they would do it, I might ask. But it's the kind of thing where it's like I don't like to bring it up with them because I think it's interesting because I think it's a very different thing for them because like they lost someone they considered to be a close friend, while I realize I'm about to make Southpaw sound even more pathetic than he already does, but I think that Southpaw thought that we were closer friends than we actually were. Because we were only talking for a few months before he went nuclear on EFAP, and by that point he was already slipping into my bad books. Something that is often forgotten in this saga, because terriers really does override everything, doesn't it, is that Southpaw was getting increasingly antagonistic towards the EFAP community, like towards the end of his time being in affiliation. And he was shit-talking them a lot behind the scenes as well. Like he was saying, well, I got respect for Mauler, but I don't like any of his guests. I don't like, I don't like it. I don't like, and it was, and then, he was increasingly airing grievances about like the far from home debate. And I don't know why I was present for these conversations, but it was just a really uncomfortable thing to be present for, because it's like you're talking about both my friend and my boss. So you're kind of you're putting me in a very, I'm not here for you, if that makes sense. You're not the reason I'm here. You're just kind of part of the larger group. Yeah, like my cats are my kids, so I think that's part of the. Oh yeah, maybe I should put that here. Cat died. There we go. Because yeah, my cats are my kids, and the pain I felt losing him really was like it was both like losing my son and my best friend at the same time. But yeah, he was the best boy. He really was the best boy. Can I put images in this? I think I can put images in this because I wanted to show you guys something I was working on. This is based on a real photograph of me and Pepsi towards the end. This was actually a photo we took like towards the last couple of years of life. I think this one took over a day. This one took a couple of hours. Because I was very particular, like, I want the outfit to look like this, but I wanted to have my colors, and I need to make sure the fucking implant is there, and also trying to get this thing on the ground was just not happening. Did you know if you fist someone, right, like, and we're talking about vaginal fisting, anal fisting, but I guess anal fisting would be similar, but if you fist someone and then open your hand while you're inside of them, that's called a Russian starfish. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, I don't do 90 minutes, because I dated someone who lived 90 minutes away, and that was a slog of an experience, I'll tell you that, and driving for 90 minutes without cruise control. Oh, and then 90 minutes back. She didn't have air conditioning at her place either. Ooh, yeah. She was good in the sack, though, so that was all that counted. No, kidding. Driving 90 minutes to get laid. I have a date on Wednesday. It's going to be my first date in like 5 years. So clearly the meme meister needs to fucking get laid now. Meme, tell us about your date. Well, we have not met yet. But she actually has MCAS and HEDS too. So that's kind of good. She likes animals. She has really short hair, and she wears lots of wigs, which I thought was kind of quirky. Yeah, but and she was on, and she also does modeling, I think. So, oh wait, she definitely does modeling. Why am I saying I think? At some point, like between 2022 through to 2026, life sort of fell apart. And there's not just like one singular, there's like a lot of different reasons that we're working together, to sort of cause it to fall apart. And it's really difficult to explain, because every time I try to explain it, I feel like I'm missing out some crucial ingredient, right? We need to fucking chart the downfall, if you will, so that we can then look at how we're going to then rise from the ashes and return things back to where they were, because things have not been great. Where did this channel start? We started off kind of in I've been a fan of Maulers since 2017. That's technically let's add that. So watched TLJ and Unbridled. I've never seen that as an acronym before. This was the beginning of the journey in some ways, but really it was more over here. So, 2019, I just been through a bit of a bad breakup, but I needed an outlet, and I was really liking all the memes that were on the EFAP channel, right? Stress event. There we go. So we have a stress event here. Stress event. Momentum interruptus, and then and then the me goes that's when it goes in momentum building. So this is a stress, heat, and allergen event. This is important. Then we go through a breakup, a sudden breakup. This was like fucking traumatizing at the time, because it was just like we're good. Oh, out of nowhere. Okay, fuck. And yeah, that was bad. We had a traumatic film shoot. We don't really need to go much into detail on that one. I might tell that. I might have already told this story, maybe. It wasn't the one I told on Metals Forge. This is a different one. Yeah, so catastrophic saving error. Yes. There are also going to be some private events that might not turn up in here because they might not be super relevant. But hopefully there'll be enough stuff in here to kind of... Look, once this is done, you'll kind of understand why I've put this all together, because this is as much for me as it is for you, chat. I'll put it that way, because I'm trying to get the last few years straight in my head. If I may be mushy with you people for a moment, I think the way I've gotten through is for one thing, I'm a pretty hopeful, optimistic person by default. I don't feel comfortable being cynical. I think some people, they can be what I call functionally cynical, and a little bit jealous of those people to an extent. But like, if I ever fall into cynicism, I get super duper depressed, and I kind of lose all motivation to do anything. So there's a certain level of optimism that I need to maintain within myself, just sort of this hope that things are going to get better, this belief that things are going to get better, even if I can't see it yet. We appreciate you too, parasocial internet friend. Oh, you're very welcome, sir. Love you. Love you too, Shop. Love you too. You earned every bit of it, man. Thanks. Thank you. I am Michael B. I could just say Michael as a shorthand, but I think it's funny if I say I'm Michael B. Happy to have found you. Heart. Oh, look at the love. Can you feel the love tonight? Eventually I'm gonna have to go like back in time, because there are gonna be probably like relevant early life events that will lead to inform things here. But we're kind of just trying to get all of the we're not touching you over here. There is technically an event because I adopted a second cat in this time, but I think I didn't count it because it didn't really it didn't interfere with me that much, really. What happened, I suppose I should give context. So what happened here is that the person I broke up with here, we were on good terms, and then she got really... And then, the period after the breakup was a bit messy. And it led to, she said, oh, no, you can still go forward with... You don't... if you're asked to do this film, I'm not going to ask you to not do it. I'm going to be professional. Point is, just imagine having to be on a film set with your ex, acting across from them as they're the main character, you're the supporting character. I was about to add that the character was gay, but it was like, is there really a reason to mention that? It's like, nah, I can't really make a joke out of it. So just so there was just this paralyzed. So the reason I mentioned that is because there was a paralyzing dread of oh fuck, I've got to work with her. Oh, so I couldn't. So I was just kind of in this state. Oh yeah, I don't need to talk about him again. At least not yet. What I do want everyone to take away from the Southpaw drama is that it is the cave from Empire Strikes Back. Luke goes into the cave, but oh no, Darth Vader's there. Zhung, zhung, zhung. Boom. Oh, lucky shot. He cut off his head. And then when his head tumbles to the ground, the helmet explodes. And oh my goodness, Darth Vader's was Luke? It's Luke under the helmet? What does it mean? What does it mean? It wasn't actually Luke under the helmet. It was a vision. But more than that, it was a warning. It was a warning of what Luke could become if he's not careful. So I see Southpaw as that. He is what we could all become if we are not careful. I was actually talking about that in therapy after the last stream because the Southpaw stuff did actually come up we talked about that for a bit, and I used the same metaphor. I first had to ask if she had seen Empire Strikes Back, and she was like, "Of course, it's a staple in our household." It's like, good. I don't need to go into too much detail then. But yeah, Southpaw is a warning of what we could all become if we're not careful. But there's a reason. You see in the title how it says Part 2. Well, there's probably going to be a part 3, part 4, maybe.